Hi and welcome to Faith into Greatness. Thank you for joining me here today. Today the Lord inspired me to give a very empowering message about being in the wilderness with God. When I was reading and I was meditating on Mark 1, in the beginning of Mark 1, it says, Jesus came from Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. Just as Jesus was coming up out of the water, he saw heaven being torn open and the Spirit descending on him like a dove, beginning at verse 9. I'm reading. And a voice came from heaven. It said, "You are my Son, whom I love, with whom I am well pleased." At once the Spirit sent him out into the wilderness, and he was in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by Satan. He was with the wild animals, and the angels attended to him. When I was meditating on that, I was like thinking to myself, it says here that God said, "You are the Son who I love, and I am well pleased with," but still sent him into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan for 40 days. So if you're going through things in life and you're wondering, where is the Lord? I've been there before. Honestly, my life feels very different from what it was in the beginning when I first turned my heart to the Lord and God was testing me and the Lord was disciplining me and teaching me the Lord's ways. My life has become much easier since. But at the time, I was wondering, where is the Lord? Why is my life in such disarray? Why are things so chaotic? Why are they all over the place? Even when I was being obedient to the Lord, or my best attempt to be, right? Because none of us are perfect. We fall far from it. The Bible shows that, with the instructions provided to us, we don't even meet those to be worthy of God's love, but the Lord is unconditionally loving, will always be by our side when we call on God. God knows our heart anyway. But I found it fascinating that though the Lord loved Jesus, though the Lord was pleased with Jesus, God still sent him to be tempted for 40 days and sent him into the wilderness. So while Jesus was in the wilderness being tested, in the book of Matthew, chapter 4, which is different from the verse I just read from Mark 1, beginning with verse 9. So now I'm in Matthew. The devil was trying to tempt Jesus and saying to him, "If you're the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." And Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." It's really fascinating. The Lord pointed me to this, inspired me to discuss this amongst other things. But we know as believers of God that everything is by God's will. If by God's will, Jesus were to look at a stone and say, "Lord, by your will, may it be bread," without being told to do so. You see what I'm saying? He was being told to do so to prove something, right? To prove his power. But the power did not lie within Jesus. The power lies within the Lord that lives within Jesus. The power lies within the Lord that lives within you and within myself, to go out and to accomplish things. For it is by God's will that things come to pass, not our own. But you see how the devil was working. He was constantly trying to make Jesus speak, do, and create things, prove himself. This is weird, That kind of conduct should be what alarms you when you're dealing with people out here in this world, and they want you to prove to them that you're a believer of God. People during the biblical times, there were people that saw the miracles Jesus performed and believed. There were people who saw the miracles and wanted more proof and wanted evidence on how and where the power came from. How did Jesus learn to do these things? These things are by God's will. God within each and every one of us, giving us the power to do God's will. I hope this message blesses you all. If you're going through a rough time in life, the Lord may be testing you. Is God testing you? If you haven't done wrong things that God is disciplining you for, and God's not using you, okay, because we are servants of the Lord first. God's not using you to teach someone else something. And the Lord is testing you to see how committed are you to God. Just remember the story, okay? Stay close to the Lord. Stay in prayer. God will always guide you, your words, your thoughts, and your conduct. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Always remember that. Your will, your power, your strength, your courage, your persistence, your kindness, your sweetness, your generosity, every good thing comes from the Lord and God's will. I hope this message blesses you all. Stay close to God and stay close in your faith conviction. You know what I'm saying? Take care and God bless.